So welcome to this info session on studying abroad at Oxford and Cambridge. We're devoting a special session to these two schools since, as you probably know, they have a very unique and similar educational structure. And in fact, the two schools are often sort of lumped together into one word, right, referred to as Oxbridge. And as an illustration of that, we've pictured for you here the two Pembroke colleges, one at Cambridge, the other at Oxford, both of which I should note are available for study abroad. And while there are a lot of similarities, there are also some differences we're going to want to note in particular as it relates to study abroad. So we'll discuss those as we go. Let's start just with some introductions. I'm Giorgio Di Mauro. I'm the Associate Provost for International Initiatives. And I'm joined today by my colleague, Krista Rockhold. Krista, do you want to introduce yourselves quickly?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm the Associate Director of Study Abroad. I work with Giorgio. And if you prefer to type a question, feel free to type a question into the chat and send it to me and I'll make sure it gets answered, okay? Great,
yeah, thank you for that. And we also have some special guests with us. We have a Barnard student who studied abroad at Oriel College, Oxford last year. Bella, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, yeah, I'm Bella, as Giorgio said. I did a year at Oxford. Yeah, it was all remote, so I guess like my experience was probably a bit different from how yours will be if you go, but yeah, I'm still really happy to like answer questions about the academics and stuff like that.
Great, yeah, thank you. We also have some students who are currently studying at Oxford. Let's see, I'll just kind of go based on who I see on my screen. Sophie, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure. I'm Sophie. I'm at St. Peter's College in Oxford at the moment. Yeah, in my dorm actually. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have about St. Peter's in particular, or just in general.
Okay, and I can't really see everyone just because everything's kind of on a little strip at the bottom of my screen, but Fritzi and Margaret, perhaps you can go next.
Yeah, I'm Fritzi. I'm Margaret. We're both at Mansfield. Yeah. We're currently in my dorm's common room, which is why I have this nice blank wall behind us.
Nice. Thank you. And let's see. And Carmen, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Hello, my name's Carmen. I'm studying at English right now at Oriel College.
So thank you all for joining us, particularly given the time difference. And I realize it's a Friday evening, so thank you so much for taking the time. What I'll do now is kind of run through a presentation. I will ask our students also to chime in just as we go. And if there's anything you all want to interject, or if you want to correct anything I might say that perhaps is inaccurate, let me know, since it's been several years since I've been to either Oxford or Cambridge. Okay. Oh, and I should note that unfortunately, we don't have any students who can join us who studied abroad at Cambridge. Just due to the pandemic, we haven't had students go in the recent past. So we do encourage you, though, to check out the recording of our info session from last year, in which we did have some return students from Cambridge. So you'll find that on our website under the webinars tab. The other thing I want to note is you can also find program evaluations from students who studied at both Oxford and Cambridge on our study abroad portal. So I encourage you to take a look at those as well. Oops, sorry, somehow I ended up going backwards. All right, so let me just kind of give you a quick overview of both universities. Starting with Oxford, which was founded first in 1096. It's actually the second oldest continually operating university after the University of Bologna in Italy. And then, Cambridge was founded in 1209, which makes it actually the fourth oldest university behind the University of Salamanca in Spain. Both universities are made up of a large set of colleges, 39 in the case of Oxford, 31 in the case of Cambridge. The colleges are sort of largely independent in many ways. They have their own administration, their own admissions, and their own affiliated faculty, but they all fall under the umbrella of the Central University. And the academic departments are all sort of central as well. So as we will discuss, in addition to researching, the colleges you might be interested in, you should also take a look at the academic departments or department that you're interested in. And there are really a wide range of departments, as you can see here, that offer a lot of different undergraduate majors, what they refer to as courses. Though it's important to note that not all of these courses will be available to visiting students, and we'll kind of go through what are the available courses depending on the college. All right, and as far as the colleges that are available for you to apply to, Barnard has longstanding ties with the following 5 Oxford colleges: Corpus Christi College, Mansfield College, Oriel College, Pembroke, and St. Peter's College. In the case of Cambridge, there's really kind of one game in town as far as a visiting student program, and that's at Pembroke College in Cambridge. And I should note the photo here. This is actually, I think, Krista, you took this photo, right, of the Radcliffe camera right in the center of Oxford. And let's see, I wanted to just kind of give you a quick sense of where you find these colleges. So this is sort of a map of the center of Oxford. The Radcliffe camera that I just pointed out is right here. It's kind of considered sort of the center. And you'll see that the 5 colleges we're affiliated with are all sort of within kind of or close into that, center of Oxford. So all I'd say within walking distance, more or less. Is that accurate? Do the students who are there feel like you can get around fairly easily? I'd be curious to hear, how you're going about it. Have any of you given biking a try, or are you just walking?
I haven't gotten a bike yet. I have considered it because even though the colleges are in walking distance, so we're both in Mansfield, and my accommodation is like a 30-minute walk away. So I might get a bike to try and handle that, but it's a pretty walk and it's doable. So, but once you're in like the center of Oxford, it's all walkable.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a bike because I'm rowing and like the boathouses are pretty far away. But like getting from where I live to college is like, it's a 15-minute walk for me, which is pretty easy. And also like, even though I feel like Mansfield looks so far away from all the other ones, it feels like you're right in the center. It doesn't feel out of the way at all.
Good. Glad to hear it. Right. Yeah. And it's important to note that, so these are where the colleges are. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. Very sensitive mouse. So these are where the colleges are located. In many cases, you might be living in the college, but you might also not be living in the college. You might be a little bit outside of the college. I don't know, in the case of our students, what's your situation in terms of housing?
I'm living like on the campus, so it's like on High Street.
That's good. That's nice. That's very central.
I live in an annex with the third years, so which basically like the seniors of Oxford in my age group, and it's like 5 minutes if you speed walk to St. Peter's College. It's right around the corner.
That's pretty convenient. Okay, great. Yeah, in the case of Mansfield, I think it's a little more common to live maybe outside, right, of the college.
Yeah, I'm in Dale, which is like with second years, and it's about 15 minutes offsite.
And then like I said, I'm like 30 minutes away, and it's more like an actual house, and it's like I think 13 people, and they're mostly visiting students. But it's kind of nice to be in like a regular neighborhood. out there
Mhm.
instead of around university buildings all the time. So I like it.
Right. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. So I do also have a map of Cambridge here. As you can see, Pembroke College in the circle is also very centrally located. Most housing for Pembroke will be either right, kind of right nearby here on sort of Fitzwilliam Street, so right under that little circle. But there's also some housing that's a little farther away, sort of right off the map, kind of down in this direction, but all sort of relatively kind of close by. So I wanted to kind of run through just briefly the different colleges just to give you a sense of them. If you're interested in applying to Oxford, we do ask you to provide us with your top 2 preferences. And we can't guarantee that you'll get them, but the committee does what it can to try and accommodate students' preferences. So I wanted to just kind of give you a sense of the colleges, but we do also recommend that you get on the websites and try and get a feel for each of them. In particular, we recommend you take a look at the affiliated faculty in your subject area, see what their research interests are, and also, get a sense in general of kind of events, what's happening at the college. And one thing I should kind of reassure you on is that all of the colleges are all pretty similar to each other. So, you really can't make a wrong choice. The only thing you have to make sure of is that the college you're interested in offers your subject area. So in the case of Mansfield, it's well known as a sort of small and friendly community. It's about 220 or so students altogether. It's also known as one of the more diverse colleges. It has a pretty big visiting student program. It accepts around 35 students. And as you can see from this list, it has a somewhat limited a range of subjects available for visiting students. We've had students mainly attend in sort of English and history. And then let's see, I think we actually have some images. The one on the left is actually, I think, the view from the dorm room of one of our previous students. So as you can see, right, this is a little more modern architecture. So it's not always the case that you're going to live in sort of a Gothic tower, although you might. And then the picture on the left is of the library, which is quite nice. Fritzi and Margaret, I don't know if there's anything you want to maybe say about the college, the atmosphere, maybe the people you've met.
I really liked the people at Mansfield. I feel like we've met a good mix of visiting students because there's so many of us that we're all kind of getting to know each other, and we also all have classes with visiting students only. But we've also been able to meet proper Mansfield students too. And everyone's been really welcoming.
Yeah, agreed. And the campus is nice, and yeah, it's all good so far.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I should point out that you've all been there, what, about a month now? Not even?
Like
3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks, right. Yeah, so still settling in, obviously. But that's great. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and let's see. Let's go on then to Pembroke College. So this is actually our largest partner. It has sort of over 400 students altogether. It actually has the oldest visiting student program, I think, at the university, the longest standing one. And it accepts about 35 or so visiting students. And as you can see, it also has a pretty wide array of subject options available. I did want to also just call your attention to the philosophy, politics, and economics, as well as psychology, philosophy, and linguistics. So these are sort of interdisciplinary subjects, which I think is pretty cool. And if you're interested in doing something a little more interdisciplinary, then these might be interesting subject areas to consider. Right. So we don't have any students who have been to Pembroke recently. So let's see, let me move on to the next one. St. Peter's College, it's about 330 somewhat students altogether. It has a somewhat smaller visiting student program, but our students always do pretty well in terms of admission. And again, they've all found St. Peter's to be pretty friendly and welcoming. It has also a pretty wide range of courses on offer, including neuroscience, which I haven't seen in other visiting student programs. So that's a good opportunity if anyone's interested in that. Sophie, did you want to talk a bit about your time so far at St. Peter's?
So far, it's been very nice. Apparently, we're known as the friendliest college, which I did not know, which you can definitely see. And visiting students wise, I actually live next to 2 different visiting students, and we've become good friends. So that's nice. You have that shared life experience, but there are only like 12 of us or so. So we branch out with the regular students. Like I have friends with quite a few of the English students and the 3rd years in my annex. So it's not that difficult to like mingle with the home students. If you're worried about that, don't be afraid about that. Yeah, so it's great atmosphere. Everything's very central as well, especially at St. Peter's. I've found that I'm right next to Westgate, which is the big like kind of outdoor mall. My housing, everybody pretty much lives within 7 minutes of St. Peter's, if that's important for you. Yeah.
Great.
It's very fun.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, on to Oriel College. So this Oriel is, in terms of size, it's sort of similar, about 300 students. And as you can see here, it has a much smaller visiting student program, but I don't want you to dismiss it because of that. Because while the other colleges have larger visiting student programs, they also have way more partners, like university and college partners in the US, whereas Oriel has only a few. So Barnard is one of the few partners. And so you're actually not competing with all that many students for a space. So I definitely encourage you to consider Oriel. Let's see, so we have, it has also a lot of subject areas available, some that are not easily accessible otherwise, like classics and computer science. And let's see, Bella, do you want to tell us a bit about your experience last year?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I kind of picked Oriel because like I was doing classics, and yeah, like I think only 2 of the ones actually offer classics, like Corpus and Oriel. And yeah, it ended up working really well for me because like they have a really strong classics department, and a lot of the tutors were specializing in things that I was very interested in. And yeah, obviously I didn't actually end up living on campus, but before like the pandemic, it was really important to me to be in like a central college, and Oriel's really central and the accommodation is central. And yeah, that was kind of like a big factor for me. So I think that's a good plus as well. Yeah, and I wouldn't be put off by like the number of visiting students, because you can also like meet loads of people from other colleges as well. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And in some ways, it kind of makes you kind of meet some of the students that are the kind of the local students, the degree students. So it can be nice to have sort of fewer visiting students to rely on in some ways. Oops, I'm sorry. Again, it's doing it to me. Okay, and sorry, let's see. Carmen, do you want to tell us a bit about your experience so far?
Yeah, so I sort of the similar reasons to Bella about why I chose Oriel. I like the centrality, and I also like that it had fewer visiting students. So I feel like I've been pretty much like integrated with the class so far, which I liked a lot. And then yeah, I've had all of the tutors and everyone is like extremely responsive, and it's very much like, because there's only like 90 students per class, it's very like catered to you, and they can make a lot of exceptions. And I really like, that was really astonishing to me, like how personalized everything is, down to like meals, to accommodation, to academics. So I really appreciated that, and yeah, it's been really good so far. I felt like very supported, and yeah, I've enjoyed it so far.
Great. Thank you. That's great. So oh, actually, yes, we do have some photos. I think, Krista, you took these photos, right? At Oriel. So that's just on the left, an example of a dorm room. I don't know, Carmen, you can tell us if that seems accurate. and then
No,
a
that's
classroom.
pretty accurate. Those, I
Yeah.
think I had a class in that classroom like yesterday.
Oh, really?
And then yeah, and then that accommodation is pretty reasonable. There's like a wide range you can choose from between like A, B, C, D, and then that looks pretty
Mhm.
standard.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks. All right, and then the final college is Corpus Christi College. This is like a bit of a tricky one because it doesn't always accept visiting students. We're still corresponding with them to find out whether or not they will accept visiting students for next academic year. So we'll keep you posted on that. If they do, it's pretty limited in terms of the subject areas. That also changes from year to year. We have sent students in English and in classics in the past. It's very strong in both of those areas. So, we'll keep you posted on whether or not this is a possibility or not. I mean, what's nice about it, kind of like with Oriel, is that because it doesn't always accept visiting students, it also doesn't really kind of advertise it. So, it's not, it's again, you're not really competing with a lot of other students for spaces, and you're also really well integrated since there's going to be only very few visiting students, if any. Right. And then just on to Cambridge. So again, Pembroke College, Cambridge. It's a relatively large visiting program. Usually about a little smaller in the fall, about 30 in the fall, 40 in the spring. It's pretty highly competitive. It recruits, from across the U.S. And it also has a pretty focused set of subjects that they offer, as you can see here, pretty much in the humanities and social sciences. One thing to note is, again, sort of a really interesting interdisciplinary subject, like human, social, and political science. So that's an interesting one if you're coming from fields like anthropology or American studies or urban studies, sociology, political science, obviously. So that's an interesting option, particularly if you are interested in something more interdisciplinary. The other big difference to note with Oxford from the perspective of study abroad is that you can apply to Pembroke College, Cambridge for just one semester. So whereas the Oxford program is only full year, for this program, you can go either in the fall or the spring, although you can also opt to go for the full year if you like. So that's an important difference to keep in mind. And again, we don't have any students here to talk about Pembroke, but we do again recommend that you check out the webinar from last year. All right. So just to turn to academics. As I mentioned, academics at Oxford and Cambridge are organized in two ways, right? There's the academic department, and then there's the residential college you're a part of. So what we recommend you do as you're thinking about applying is familiarize yourself with the academic department that you're interested in, get a sense of their course structure. And again, remember, course here means kind of like the equivalent of a major. I provided you here with links to both the list of the Oxford and the Cambridge departments. Remember again that not all of these subject areas will be available to you. So keep that in mind as you're looking through it. But what we recommend you do is, go to the department, again, see what kind of, how their courses are structured, or I guess what we call courses, they call typically papers, and see what kind of matches with your interests. So it's important also to note that for these courses that you're looking at, there will be lectures offered by the department. Those lectures are sort of free for you to go to. No one's checking attendance. So you can sort of pick and choose depending on your academic interests, which ones you attend. And then within your college, your sort of academic director will set up tutorials for you. And that's what they're called at Oxford. For Cambridge, they're called supervisions. And you'll be working either one-on-one or maybe with 2 or 3 other students and a faculty member. And it's really kind of up to you to direct your studies, really focus in on areas that are of interest to you. You'll be meeting at Oxford usually like around 1 hour a week or so with your tutor or with your supervisor at Cambridge. And you will be preparing an essay on a topic that you agree upon with your tutor or supervisor for each meeting. In the case of Oxford, it's also likely that you might do both a primary tutorial, which meets every week, and a secondary tutorial, which meets every 2 weeks. And that secondary tutorial can often be in a different but related field to your major. In the case of Cambridge, you usually do 1 supervision at a time. You do sort of 2 altogether in a semester, so either in the fall or the spring. And it is also the case that for certain subject areas in particular, you might also have some seminars or sort of practical sessions or labs. So that's particularly true, say, in STEM fields or in, say, foreign languages. And I'm just actually wondering if maybe our students can talk a bit about how the academics are going, how you've sort of structured the tutorials, how that went, or how it's going, I should say. Anyone want to tackle that?
I can start if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like 4 tutorials spaced out over 3 terms. I feel like that was a really good amount. I probably wouldn't have wanted to do more than that. But yeah, I just like basically the classics department got in touch with me like before the start of the year and just gave me this like huge booklet of all the classics classes. And it was very like unique, I think, being a visiting student, because you basically, or at least in my experience, like I got total freedom about what I wanted to do. So I think like with the full-time students, there's sometimes limitations on like what they can take at a certain time, whereas I was basically allowed to take like any class that I wanted, which was really great. And they were also super accommodating. Like if they couldn't fit me into like the formal class, they would set up like a class like just for me and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say like the tutors were like really accommodating, and also like really nice if like there was a bit too much work one week, like I would just tell them and they would like let me do a presentation or an essay plan instead of like a full essay. So yeah, I really love the academics.
That's great. And the tutorials that you took, how were they largely one-on-one, or were there other students that you were in the tutorial with? Or
Yeah, all of mine were one-on-one actually. I think because the way that they were normally taught was in bigger classes, but because of like the way the course was structured, it was just too complicated for them to like fit me into what the classes that already existed. So they just kind of like did one-on-one for me. But yeah, I didn't mind that at all. Like I actually really enjoyed the kind of individual like attention that I got from that. And yeah, it kind of varied like between each tutor, how it was structured. Like some of them, it was more like a conversation, and then some of it was more like them just asking me questions, or some of it was like the tutor just kind of talking at me. So it kind of varied a lot, but yeah, it was nice to have like lots of different experiences with different tutors.
Interesting. I see. And did you attend many lectures?
Yeah, so the lectures were all like recorded online, obviously, but yeah, I think for one of the classes, like I did end up watching them, or I think I just watched them over the winter break or something, because like because they were recorded, like you obviously didn't have to attend live or anything. So
Mhm. Got it. Right. Yeah. And what about for some of the other students? Anyone want to talk about how the tutorials are going?
So we both have a primary and a secondary, and I
Mhm.
think it's going to be that way for all three.
I think so,
terms.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of mine, my secondary is one-on-one, and then my primary is with one other visiting student, and they've been good so far. It's definitely like a different way of doing work because unlike at Barnard, there's no like lecture where you're given information about stuff that you then digest and make some paper about or some presentation or something. It's just like you get a reading list and you read it and answer some question, and then you come to the tutorial and talk to them about it. And yeah, I think there is a lot of variation in what the tutorial can be like. Some tutors will like have people read their papers out line by line and like critique it. Neither of mine are doing that, which I'm kind of happy about. But yeah, you just talk through it and they tell you, you know, they comment on the paper itself, but then it's also just talking about the topic. And
Yeah. Your primary is every week, and your secondary is every other week. So this week I had both of my tutorials, but next week I'm only having one. And you write a paper for every class basically. That is sort of what you synthesize from the readings, and it usually answers a prompt. And my secondary is me and one other person, and my primary is me and two other people, but she takes us in pairs or one at a time. Or sometimes we have classes with everyone. So it's mixed, but I like having the like more focused class courses, because then it's sort of, you get to share your ideas a bit more, I think, than if it's a room of even like 12 people in a seminar.
Mm-hmm. And also just a thing to mention, I don't know how it'll be in the future terms, but for now, neither of my tutors are actually in Mansfield. They're from other colleges, which I don't know. I think it's kind of nice to get to see other colleges. And yeah, so like if you look at the department website of a certain college and the people are not teaching on or researching on like your particular field, like for me, I'm doing history, and I think all the historians at Mansfield are like medievalists, and I'm doing more modern history, so like they'll find someone somewhere else. So,
yeah, my primary tutorial teacher is like a professor at Mansfield, but my secondary is a grad student at Balliol.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's good. That's good to point out. It's true. They will go outside of the college, which I think is important. Anything else anyone wants to add in terms of academics?
Yeah, I'm actually doing, I guess, 2 primary tutorials. I didn't really have any choice in it. But she did say it was going to be like more than the average student, which is a bit concerning, but
And how's it going?
so far it's been okay.
That's good.
Yeah, it's going okay, pretty well. They are like being very accommodating if I tell them it's too much work. But basically we're having like reading, once a week we meet and like do a close reading of a book that we're all reading together. And then there's also like classes where we meet up and like there's about like 8-ish people in both of my like who are taking the same tutorial, and then we meet together as like a class once a week, and then like we rotate that with like a tutorial with like 2 or 1 other person or 2 other people. So like we switch off every week. So like each week I'll have like a class or a tutorial and a for each course, and then also like a reading group. So far it's been good.
Great. And are all of you just working in your main kind of major subject area, or is anyone working in a different subject, say for the secondary tutorial?
I'm not, but
I asked about that, and she was like,
No.
You can resume.
I'm not students doing anything other than English, but I know a couple of VSPs who are like doing a primary in one field and a secondary in another field. So
Mhm.
it's possible.
Uh-huh. Right, right. Okay.
I asked my like person who's organizing the courses about that, and she said that I would have to like add it on top of the 2 tutorials that I'm taking, which she said would be difficult, but like not impossible. But I don't think I'm gonna do that. And she also didn't know anyone in the other departments. She's like, yeah, it seems really like very defined and
Yeah, no, and it will vary from college to college, you know, what the possibilities are. Okay, well, that's helpful. Great. Anything else on that? Anyone else want to? Okay, well, let's talk a bit about extracurriculars then. And again, you know, here you have both kind of college community and then the university at large as some resources. Each college will have a junior common room, which is usually both sort of a hangout spot and sort of an organization, you know, through which, you know, events will be organized. And then there's also the university-wide sort of student union, which organizes clubs and outings and events. And then, of course, each college has some formal dinners, which are sort of, you know, fancy candlelit 3-course meals for which you can sign up. You know, these are sort of, these high tables are sort of an old tradition at Oxford and Cambridge both. I don't know if anyone wants to, any of the students who are there now want to share anything you've joined or anything you've experienced in terms of kind of social, you know, social life, extracurricular activities.
I've been rowing, and I know Carmen also has joined the Oriole rowing team. But that's been pretty fun. It's been a good way to meet people and see other parts of Oxford that I wouldn't normally walk to or walk through. And it's been like a good, like I have had to dedicate time to it, but it's very manageable on top of my other work.
Anyone else want to?
yeah, that the Orioles like a really big rowing. Orioles a really big rowing school, I guess. So it was it's been fun to meet people. You do have to wake up at like 6 a.m. But inspires productivity, I guess. And about like the social life, the formal dinners are really, I think they're really fun. You have to like dress up fancy, and the food is always like really, really good. And they have them really frequently at Oriole, but I mean, you can't go there all the time. Something I noticed like different that is different in the social scene than the US is like that the school like sponsors a lot of alcohol. So there's like a college bar. There's like, I was invited to like coffee and port for like internet, like incoming students. So it's like it's very central, and like at dinners and stuff, like you can have wine. So like that is definitely something to note. Is like it's a very alcohol centric.
Yeah.
I would say also like a general rule about extracurriculars at Oxford, something I really liked about it was that I think some of the applications for things are a lot less competitive than some of the ones I found to be at Columbia and Barnard, or like even a lot of things just don't have applications. And yeah, I was kind of able to like get on a couple of like committees for societies and stuff, even though I was like just there for a year, because the applications just aren't like as intense, I guess. And you don't really need experience. So you can do a lot of the like magazines and like things like that with like no prior experience. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
I think sports teams are also a lot more accessible than you might think. Like at Columbia, it's very difficult unless you're recruited, at least for the actual teams rather than clubs. But here, you just go to trials, and then usually they'll find space for you depending on the sport. At least that was my experience. Like I'm on the badminton team, the university team, and then there's also, they have like each college has a club as well. So they have like the university wide ones and then the college ones. So you can kind of take your pick or do both. And there are a lot of societies. Like I could not tell you how many there were when I went to the Freshers Fair. I was a little overwhelmed with all the amazing things. Like I'm on fencing club now as well. There's darts club, pool at my college. I signed up for race car, like go-karting as a university club. There's archery, a lot of things, and you can find time for all of them because you're not bound to them. You can just go for like taster sessions or just once in a while or anything. So it's really fun.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for pointing all that out. And I should note, I mean, one thing we've heard from students is that because the way the academics are structured, it is very much independent learning, and you're spending a lot of time on your own. It is really important to find opportunities to kind of get out and meet people, you know, so really take advantage of these kind of structured opportunities that are available. Otherwise, it can be a kind of a lonely experience. Does that seem accurate based on your experiences so far, for all of you who are there?
We also we had to do Freshers Week. So like the freshman orientation, we were basically part of that. And that was also a really good way to meet people because there was a bunch of built-in activities in that week to meet people. So even though like your academics are usually pretty solo, you go in knowing a lot of people that you can like go get dinner or lunch with, or you'll see them in the library or hanging out like in like your college bar or cafe, and you can talk to them.
Yeah, and they organize a lot of like social events. Like tonight we have a champagne and chocolates black tie thing.
Nice.
And like they'll organize like going out to clubs. Like Mansfield itself will sell tickets to people to go. So then there's like a group of people that you know is going. So yeah, they like help you make social plans, I guess.
That's great. Glad to hear it. Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, thank you for all of that. I think, let's see, how are we doing with time? Yeah, we wanted to leave some time for questions, but Krista, did you want to just kind of walk everyone through the application process? And did you want me to, do you want me to keep this up and then you can talk, or do you want to show your own screen?
I think, is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah,
So
okay.
you can see exactly what it will look like. Okay. Can everybody see that and hear me okay? Okay. So this is our Barnard Passportal, if you will, where we house all of our program information. Hopefully you've seen it before. This is also where you'll come to start and submit your Oxford application. It's really important that you understand that Oxford has a different deadline than all the other study abroad programs. So the deadline for the Oxford application is December 6th. For all other semester and year-long study abroad applications, the preliminary Barnard application isn't due until March. So it is a lot earlier. We want you to be aware of that. If you hover over programs here and you go to the full programs list, all of our programs will be alphabetized, and you can either search or just scroll down to Oxford. Right now, only the Oxford applications are open. The semester applications will open up pretty soon here in the next couple of weeks. But right now it's just Oxford, since again, the deadline is so much earlier. So you'll note here that in this application, you are identifying your top choice college. So that's relevant, right? You want to pick the college that is your top choice. So if you click on Oriole just as an example, here's a little bit of information. If you ever forget about credits or academics, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and down here you'll be reminded of the way that the credit is converted from Oxford to the Barnard record. But when you're ready, you can do this today if you'd like, you can go ahead and click apply now.